Well, hey there. Welcome to New Orleans. Have you been wondering what I've been up to lately? Me too. Someone should probably work on that. This footage is from May. Yeah, okay, let's get to it. I did not film the TSA agent laughing at me for bringing a sewing machine in my rolly bag. I also did not film getting on the plane because I got stressed since my first flight got delayed and cancelled and then rescheduled and then delayed again before they transferred me and two other really nice ladies onto a completely different flight path that meant that we would get in about 3 hours later than planned, but we would get there. And also on my flight home, I was just so relieved to get on a plane going directly home without any delay or complication I genuinely just forgot. So oops, I guess I'll just have to take my word on this one about the TSA thing. So initially my plan had been to meet my sister at the airport, but since our flights didn't end up coinciding because I got delayed, we ended up meeting at the hotel. I landed in New Orleans in the early afternoon and found out that my bag had not in fact made it with me. The airline actually lost my luggage for about 5 hours, and because I brought my sewing machine as my carry-on, I was heavily considering buying extra fabric to make some clothes out of necessity in case they didn't find it. Before I left the airport, they asked if I wanted to travel to where I was staying and then come back and pick up my bag later, or if they could just deliver it to me before 10 p.m. And since I flew and was going to be taking a cab to and from the airport, I chose the second option, which meant that my bag got its own little taxi ride, and it had its own little tracker so I could make sure it didn't get kidnapped. Technology is really cool. Long story short, don't bother bringing a bag with you when it's the rainy season because the rain will inevitably cause a weather-related delay that will force your bag to go on a homeward-bound level dramatic journey without you. By the time my bag was reunited with me, every single sewing pin that I had stored in it had been released by the powers that be, and I spent the rest of the trip picking them out of my clothes. Don't be like me. First things first, clear space and set up your sewing machine. For whatever reason, I chose to sit on the floor, and we're collectively just going to have to be okay with that. You're not going to have a single decent angle in this entire video because while I may have brought an entire sewing machine with me, I did not in fact bring a tripod. I set up my sewing machine first so that I could have all my supplies organized and know where everything was before I started cutting pattern pieces out. Because I don't have a simple option bone in my body, I chose to trace a tank top made out of stretchy material onto my non-stretchy cotton fabric to create my bodice pattern, and then used a skirt off a different dress to create the skirt pattern. I cut out a lining for both the bodice and the skirt and decided I was going to do button closures with a 2-piece button top and a button waist closure skirt. Initially I had the intention to attach my bodice to the skirt and make it all one piece, but because I didn't sketch out my dress design, I absolutely changed my mind midway through the project because I'm indecisive and I like to ensure you'll never know my next move, though by saying that I've now told you my intended move, so now wait, Okay, let's get started. I don't really have an excuse for this angle other than I thought the view would be more exciting than watching me thread the sewing machine. Sorry. Make up for it, I'll cut to some clips of us admiring a turtle in the sculpture garden, because he looked so at peace. Like he knew all the secrets of the world. Just look at him paddle. Except we kind of forgot to check the weather, and about an hour in we were sweating so much that we decided we should go get some shaved ice or something, and so we walked a few miles in direct sunlight to go find one that had really good reviews, and it was really good, even though there wasn't really any shade cover near the building. But it cooled us down, and eventually we got back to the hotel, and once we got back to the AC, I had the wherewithal to actually check the weather, to which I found that there was a severe heat warning and that outdoor exposure should have been extremely limited, so oops. Also, the sculpture garden was really cool. It had lots of peaceful spots to sit alongside some really funky sculptures, like the leaf people in a canoe or the man riding a snail. Anyways, back to sewing. I did some test seams on a scrap bit of fabric to make sure that everything was copacetic. At some point in here, I sewed together my bodice pieces so that the lining was attached to the outer garment fabric, and I used French seams so that the fabric wouldn't fray as much since it's cotton. Once I had created my 2 bodice pieces, I tried them on to see where I needed to make my buttonhole closures that would ultimately connect the bodice together. After that, I cut out skirt pieces. As a kid, my parents liked to make Saturday morning breakfast kind of a brunch affair. We typically picked something semi-effort intensive to make for breakfast, like French toast or breakfast tacos, but on the rare occasion that we had an excess of time, we would break out the Café du Monde box mix from the freezer, and my mom would teach us how to fry beignets. Neither my sister nor I had actually ever been to New Orleans before this trip, so this was our first opportunity to have real, true New Orleans beignets. We tried to work in as many places as we could to try them. One of my sister's friends actually recommended a few other places to try, and of course we only got to see her the night before we left, but we bookmarked the spots for next time. We only managed to go to 3 places that were nearby where we were staying, but we gotta get back to sewing, so I'm gonna give you that review in a minute. I then spent about 2.5 hours attaching the skirt pieces together, including a roll time at the bottom of the skirt's hemline. Eventually, my sister came back to the hotel room after finishing up a meeting, and here I am practicing my baseball throw to show her my hard work. We ended up hanging out for a couple hours while I finished the skirt. While on this trip, my sister and I started watching Bridgerton because I'd never actually watched the first season despite living in Bath when they were actively filming the 2nd or 3rd season. I don't remember which. So after we finished dinner, she turned that on, and I tried to keep up with the drama while I finished the buttonholes and attached the buttons to the bodice. Then we went to bed, and I woke up early to go get beignets and coffee at the very last beignet place on our list of things nearby to try. My sister was busy, so it was just me and Emeril. Yo, I don't think I can express how much of a core childhood memory I have of sitting in my parents' bedroom at 9 p.m. at night on some random weekday watching Emeril's cooking show on PBS. How did I know he would be here? I mentioned him the other day. Why would I have mentioned him? He was the Bob Ross of cooking for me. This happened yesterday. So The first complaint is that I did the buttons on the wrong side. I, for whatever reason, was thinking, oh yeah, if I put the buttons on the front, then it'll snap into the back, and that'll make so much sense, right? What happens is, when you wear it, you get this big gap on the front, and at least if that's in the back, it's not like as obvious, and you cover it with a cardigan or a jacket. People don't care because it's in the back, you know? Yeah, I need to fix that. So I'm gonna sew up the buttonholes I made, put buttons on top of where I've sewn up, and then cut those holes in the front. And hopefully that'll solve that issue. I'm also gonna hem it a little bit because I think I'm just gonna make it a top and a skirt. That wasn't my initial intention. So I'm just gonna make it kind of cropped, so probably about like that length, and just hem it. There's a top. You know there's a top. But just kind of like that. I guess I could hold it like that. Like that. The skirt, the thing is, it fits. But bodies are bodies, right? Bodies change in size. That's just also part of life. And this is not forgiving fabric. And I would rather, I do not want this to fit perfectly and not be able to wear it next month. What I'm going to do is add a little bit of fabric. Editing Puttin here to tell you that I'm about to explain what I did to solve this, but it's not what I planned to do, so please disregard past me. They didn't know what was going on. Anyways, that's where we're going to go, and hopefully we can get it all done today. Let's do it. Here you can see me trying the skirt on and attempting to figure out why I hated how it was fitting, which I eventually realized was because the skirt that I traced the pattern from met the bodice at mid-rib rather than the true waist or the hip, so I needed to lower the waistline to fix that and have the skirt top meet at my waistline instead. And then I also wanted to shorten the skirt the tiniest bit because it was hanging a lot longer than I had anticipated when I was cutting it out initially, so I just wanted it to be shorter. After I fixed the skirt, I made spaghetti strap ties to create a halter neckline tie. I just rolled some fabric into a thin tube and sewed it down really well, attached it to the bodice, and bing bang boom, you've got yourself some ties. I tried them on to make sure they fit correctly, yada yada, you know the drill. And then I started the process of moving buttons and finishing buttonholes. Oh, right, the beignets. I'm just gonna pop a few photos on top of this and add in little review ratings, a couple comments. Place 1, 2, and 3. This is bin. Get it? Bin, but spelled like a beignet. Your beignet update for today. Okay, thank you. Not the prettiest buttonholes, and to be fair, the back panel is a little bit lopsided, but it'll do. Let's iron. Have you ever watched competitive bed making competitions? Like, the speed at which people can make a bed astounds me sometimes, and I honestly will watch those just to learn tips on how better to make my own bed so I can do it faster and also like keep it well made. Even though my grandmother taught me really well, we weren't exactly on the time crunch trying to be the quickest linen folders out west. What I haven't looked up is competitive ironing. Most of the time I just guess my way through ironing things. I know at one point my mom taught me how to set the dial and check all the important bits, like what kind of fabric it is, indicates how hot the iron should be, and I'm certain that I was shown how to iron a collared button-down shirt at least once, not to mention knowing random ironing things because of sewing projects that needed ironing patches, or interfacing, like for COVID masks. But dude, every time I break out the iron, I question everything. Like, I'm so confident until I put that sucker on the board, and then all I know is don't leave it in one place for too long. Other than that, shoot, I'm completely winging it. Could you tell? I wing it a lot. What's that mean? I'll wing it about something I most definitely should not wing? Yeah. Okay, now that we've ironed that out, let's show off our new outfit. Hi. So long story short, I didn't get this done as quickly as I anticipated, and that's on me. I didn't do an outro for this at all, so here it is. I just got around to editing it. It is August 28th. I filmed this in May, didn't edit it till now. I finished the dress, that way, I guess. Finished the dress, and honestly, I wore it 2 or 3 different times during the summer. Not that I thought I wouldn't wear it, I feel like it turned out pretty well. It's very comfy. I didn't put pockets in the skirt, and I feel like that would make the skirt, like, even better, but currently it doesn't have pockets, but I really like it. I feel like the shape of it looks really nice. Anyways, it's a fun skirt. It's a fun top. I intended to wear the top with just like some jeans. That was part of the thing that I liked about separating the top and bottom pieces. I thought that maybe it would be like a little more usable. I think I like it though. The French seams. I mean, honestly, I think that may have been the first time I've ever done French seams. I enjoyed doing that, so that is a thing I will continue to do in the future because they were very useful, especially since I didn't want to have to pull the serger out. I wasn't going to take a serger and a sewing machine on the plane. Come on, that would have been crazy. Yeah, but I got it done. I mean, the first thing that I probably should have done was still do an outline because I do think that helps me a lot, and I suffered because I didn't have one. But overall, it was good. I would have liked to have done this early on in the trip, but I ended up doing it in the last couple of days. It's fine. It didn't really change that much. If I'd had a day before we really started wandering places that I could have made the dress, so then I could have worn it when we were doing all of that, because I was limited to our last day of wandering. I'm getting a phone call. My mother's at a bakery getting baked goods. Getting involved in that. I feel like I'm having trouble thinking of what I need to say. It's been so long since I did this project. I really should have done this as soon as I got home, but I didn't. I would have liked to do the making of the outfit earlier on in the trip. That is, I would like to do that. And I did have a shirt that I was working on the plane, but I didn't end up finishing it. But it was one of those that I needed to use the serger on the seams anyways, because I really should have done French seams or done the serger on the seams just because the fabric was fraying a lot. That's part of why I didn't have the plan to do this at the beginning of the trip, because there just wouldn't have been time. It required more than the other one did. It's neither here nor there. We did it. It was good. I enjoyed it, and I will probably do it again. Anyways, thank you for watching. Thank you for being involved. Sorry it has been literal months since I uploaded it. I have multiple other projects that I've already filmed, so hopefully the next one will not be quite so far away. We shall see. I still don't really know what I'm going to be doing next time, but we'll see. Bye. Oh, there's a wasp. Oh, it's up there. I really hope it escaped. What do you want to reckon? I have some wasp spray. Low likelihood.